Breaking news! Things are heating up behind the scenes with the Los Angeles Rams, and what I'm about to share could completely change your view of the team's offense for the 2026 season. There's a clear transformation happening in Los Angeles, and if you've been following closely, you've probably already noticed the signs. But before continuing, press the like button here on the video, but only do that if you've been a Los Angeles Rams fan for over 15 years. It's incredible to see fans from all generations still supporting this team. And if you can, leave a comment. Go Rams on the road to the Super Bowl. Now let's get straight to the point, because this is where things start to get really interesting. The Rams are quietly building something that looks nothing like the traditional Sean McVay offense we've become accustomed to over the years. Last season already gave us a preview, with Los Angeles making extensive use of formations with 2 and even 3 tight ends. And now, after the latest moves, it's no longer just a situational detail. It's starting to look like the foundation of the offense going forward. Think about it for a second. As the 2026 NFL Draft approached, most fans expected the Rams to bolster the wide receiver position. It seemed like the obvious move, right? More options in the passing game, more explosiveness in the passing game. But instead, the front office doubled down in a completely different direction. They selected Max Klare in the second round and added 2 promising undrafted tight ends, Dan Villari and Rohan Jones. And now, they're going into preseason training with 8 tight ends on the roster. This is no mere coincidence. It's a statement of intent. So, what's really going on here? There are a few layers to this, and both point to a deliberate evolution. One possibility is that Sean McVay is adapting to the way defenses have been playing against the Rams. These guard defensive formations are designed to neutralize both short and long passing, forcing offenses to operate on shorter routes. And if that's the case, filling the field with versatile tight ends who can run both short and intermediate routes makes perfect sense. But there's another angle here that might be even more fascinating. This could be McVay going back to his roots. When he was the offensive coordinator in Washington from 2014 to 2016, tight ends were a major part of his system, seeing about 25% of targets. When he came to Los Angeles, that number dropped to just over 18% across his first 8 seasons. But last year, that number jumped to 27%, with a career-high 161 targets going to tight ends. That's not a small bump. That's a philosophical shift. And now let's talk about the new names you need to know, because this is where the story gets even more compelling. Starting with Rohan Jones, a player whose journey is anything but conventional. Raised in Canada, Jones took a long and winding road through college football, making stops at Maine, Montana State, and finally Arkansas. He never truly locked down a full-time starting role, but when you look at his production, it tells a different story. 352 yards on just 80 catches, averaging an eye-popping 17 yards per reception, along with 20 touchdowns over his career. That's explosive production, no matter how you slice it. What stands out immediately about Jones is that he's essentially a receiver in a tight end's body. He was used in a variety of ways, lining up in line, in the slot, on the wing, and even in the backfield. That kind of versatility is exactly what McVay seems to be targeting right now. He's not a dominant blocker at this stage, and that's something he'll need to improve. But, as a pass catcher, the traits are there. Sharp route running, strong hands, the ability to track the ball, and even a second gear after the catch. He's the kind of player who can exploit soft zones and create mismatches against linebackers and safeties. Then there's Dan Villari, and his story might be even more unique. Originally recruited as a quarterback at Michigan, he barely saw the field before transferring to Syracuse and converting to tight end in 2022. And yet, in just a few years, he's developed into a legitimate receiving threat. Over his college career, he caught 66 passes for 671 yards. But what makes him stand out is his versatility. He also rushed for 484 yards and even completed passes, showing off that quarterback background. On tape, Villari looks like a natural athlete. He moves fluidly, shows strong hands, and plays with a fearless edge. especially over the middle. He's still raw as a route runner and needs to develop as a blocker, but the foundation is there. And in an offense that seems to be prioritizing hybrid players who can line up all over the field, his skill set becomes extremely valuable. Now, here's where everything starts to connect. When you look at the current tight end room, Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, Terrence Ferguson, and now Max Klare, you start to see a clear division. Some of these guys are more traditional, better suited to inline roles, but others, they're built to move around, to line up in the slot, to function almost like wide receivers. And that's exactly where players like Villari and Jones could carve out a role. This raises a big question about the overall structure of the offense. If the Rams didn't aggressively pursue wide receiver depth, is it because they're planning to replace some of those snaps with tight ends? Are we about to see an offense where multiple tight ends are regularly split out wide or operating from the slot, creating mismatches all over the field? Because if that's the case, this isn't just a tweak. It's a transformation, and it could completely redefine how defenses have to prepare for Los Angeles moving forward. But at the same time, there's a reality check here. The numbers game is real, the tight end room is crowded, and it won't be easy for undrafted players to break through. Still, both Villari and Jones bring special teams experience and unique skill sets that could give them a fighting chance, especially if the Rams fully commit to this hybrid offensive approach. So now, I want to hear from you, Rams fans. Do you believe this heavy tight end strategy is the right move for the future of this offense? Or do you think the team should have prioritized wide receivers instead? And this is where things get even more intriguing when you project how this could actually look on the field during the season. Imagine a situation where the Rams line up with what appears to be a heavy package, 2 or even 3 tight ends, and the defense responds by bringing in extra linebackers or staying in a base look. Then suddenly, one of those tight ends, maybe it's Villari or even Rohan Jones, motions out into the slot, or even wider, creating an instant mismatch against a slower defender. That's the kind of chess move Sean McVay seems to be setting up here. Because let's be honest, the league is constantly evolving, and offenses that stay predictable get figured out fast. What the Rams are doing right now feels like a counterpunch to modern defensive trends. If defenses want to sit back in coverage and take away explosive plays, then the Rams are preparing to attack underneath with versatility, physicality, and players who can turn short gains into big plays. And don't overlook this detail. Both Villari and Jones have shown they can produce big moments with limited opportunities. Jones, in particular, had a remarkable rate of explosive plays in college, consistently making the most out of his touches. Villari, on the other hand, brings that unpredictable element with his quarterback background. Trick plays, wildcat formations, unexpected throws. These are all now realistic options within this system. And if you want to stay on top of every update like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and don't forget to click on the video that's on your screen right now. Because the latest Rams news, the kind you won't find anywhere else, you'll only find right here.